6 people. Okay, so now
Yay, thank you.
so now it will be professional time. Anything that you say or you type in the chat will be recorded. I just want everybody to know. So if you dislike my background or something, don't put it in the chat because I'll read that later. But I wanted to go back and just first of all tell everybody thank you so much for coming today. We're going to be opening up this event just now with what is the Planning Summit? What is the focus of today? And where we're really headed as a college. So a snapshot is 5 years ago, we had our first planning summit to bring together our college goals and kick off our first educational master plan, where we, for the first time, actually had live streaming events where we had two-way interactions between the campuses, online, and College Center. Throughout the years, we've been trying to continue to perfect that. And I keep saying, like, I want that percentage of everybody online to keep increasing and to keep increasing. And, the first year we said it was like 8%. And then all the way through fall this last year, we had about 40%. And so I'll have to say, after 5 years, we got 100% of people streaming online for our planning events and our committees. So good job, everyone. And thanks, COVID-19, for helping me get there. So, so with that, today is to really highlight and to really celebrate the college and the accomplishments that we've had over this last year. I feel that it's not just one of us doing all the things, everybody's come together. And as you'll see that through today's presentation, the highlights across the institution, it really goes back to where we are. About 2 years ago, we created our new mission statement and approved it last July. And if you don't take anything away from today, the one thing I would hope everybody would take away is the core of our mission statement. And our mission statement is really focused around meeting students where they are and, helping them build social and economic mobility for the future. And I think that is really everything to us at Coastline. And you'll see it throughout today and really in everything that we're doing in the future, that our students are first, their futures are first, and everybody goes over and beyond for that. And so, like I said, you can take how meeting students where they are electronically, online, technology, mentally, physically, education-wise, occupationally. It's so many different lenses that we approach students. And so that's what we do. So with that said, I want to kick off our first slide, which talks about PIEAC. PIEAC is our Planning, Institutional Effectiveness, and Accreditation Committee. It is a participatory governance committee that is comprised of faculty, administrators, classified professionals that come together through diverse backgrounds and perspectives through a variety of departments and skill sets, where we really communicate together, look at problems, and help try to solve those problems. We also serve as the oversight committee for the accreditation of our college. And so with that, we're really focused around student success and institutional effectiveness. But I wanted to highlight a few things that we achieved this year. So as we touch on later today, there's the Vision 2025 Educational Master Plan. We had a cadre of individuals throughout the entire college, including students, providing feedback and guidance to the development of our goals and plans for the future. Like I said, we'll touch on that later. We looked at updating our college key performance indicators, or KPIs. Our KPIs in the past were very good, but they're really tied to a lot of statewide metrics, which that's great. But we talked as a committee to say, you know what? Instead of just meeting the metrics, what's most meaningful for us? And as you see, as we develop the future with our data and the like, we are going to start developing out key points where showing our story or telling our story and the impact we're making in people's lives. And so that's what we did this year as we refined our KPIs. We looked at our resource allocation process and said, how can we more or less streamline this process to include the program review validation process into that, to ensure that everything's going through validity and that we're in a collaborative effort with the wings to give them more time to vet through the plans and the ideas that are happening at the department programmatic level. Again, similar to every year, we really focus on meeting our deadlines. We have a calendar that we follow. That was something good. And then something, I don't want to steal my co-chair, Deb Henry's thunder, but going paperless was something she really pushed. And for me, that had such an impact on people having to be prepared to the meetings, because I know a lot of us, including myself, we're like, oh my God, I didn't read the minutes. It's fine, I'll read them in the meetings. But if you don't have them at the meetings, you may not have been there to do that. So doing that has helped us not just be proactive, but to be concise with the information we're sharing and giving. Really looking at the goals that we have for this next year. We've developed metrics for our 4 college goals that are coming up through our Vision 2025. So we've set together a collection of data metrics on how we want to measure those. And so now, once the data starts coming in, we're going to want to set something called a stretch goal. So a stretch goal is not an annual, it's by 2025. What do we plan to do? Now, it could be award 2,000 degrees that year, or it could be in the next 5 years, we're going to award 10,000 degrees total. So we're going to talk that through. In fall, we're going to submit our accreditation follow-up report, which Danny Pittaway will cover later in today's presentation. We're going to also talk about how we can continue to streamline prioritization. And let me move my little thing because I can't see. And oh yes, College Council, Dr. Adrian has called upon us to say, how can we help students? How can we continue to help students more and take our time away from meetings to focus on students and our work and moving forward? So with that, we're looking to create efficiencies in our meetings. I'll give you an example. Program review, we canceled, I don't know, 4 meetings this year. PIEAC canceled 6 meetings, not because of inefficient planning. It's because we're becoming more efficient and we're trying to tie that down. And because if we have a dashboard that shares our committee and governance practices, we have over a very high level of collaboration, trust, and engagement with one another. And built on that trust, we're trying to say, how can we make the committees not just more efficient, but really look at, do we have to have a 28-person group on PIEAC? Or can we make it run more smoothly, maybe with 15 or 18? And that's what that group will do throughout this next year. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to my co-chair, Dr. Deborah Henry, to give us the highlights on the Academic Senate.
Start video. Press all the right buttons, right? So I want to thank Aaron for making the slide ADA compliant. It's still not my forte, but I'm getting better at it, as I hope we all are. It's been an eventful year. As you know, this is my first year as Academic Senate President, and for some reason they elected me for another year. So I will complete my presidency next year. But we had a lot of goals going on, and as Aaron mentioned for PIEAC, the nice thing about the Senate going green was it created a movement, which now we all are green, right, because of Zoom. But I expected a little bit of pushback right away, and I got 0, which means a lot of those papers were probably going in the circular file by your desk, right? We developed a faculty resource canvas page. I still have 66 people that haven't signed on for it last time I looked, but many people have, and we've housed all our resources there. Everything from the Academic Senate goes there, and anything you would want to know, you could probably find on that faculty resource page, from who is the department chair, to who's on what TURC, to who's serving with whom on what TURC, to who won a faculty award back in 1991. So we're to how to do your SLOs, to videos on how to do your SLOs, what's your RSI task plan. So all of that is on the faculty resource canvas page. And any faculty, if they email Yadira Lopez or me, can give them access to that page if they don't have it. And if anybody else wants it, they're more than welcome to too. We updated our prioritization rubric this year, weighting a little bit less the departments that had a lot of people in them, and weighting more perhaps the departments that had less people in them as full-time faculty, in order because always the ones that have a lot of classes end up having the greatest need. We also defined our processes a little bit better too, in case of vacancies. We got the coordinator positions on now a timeline where every 2 years, because they're 2-year positions, every 2 years applications will be opened, that it creates transparency. And so we just went through that process, and we welcome a new OER coordinator, that being Elizabeth Horan. Everybody else, I think, stayed this. And a new accreditation coordinator too, that being Marilyn Brock, in place of Danny Pittaway for the latter, and in place of Scott Davis for the former. So that's now on a 2-year cycle, alternate of our department chairs. We developed a new RSI task force, so we updated almost all the departments updated their rubrics, which again now are on the faculty resource canvas page, the updated ones. The RSI task force was to review the fall courses, but that got put on hold because of COVID-19. But we updated the rubric. We updated the Google form for doing it. We'll probably keep the same RSI task force, and that force will now review the courses in in fall of 2020. Dan Johnson has taken on developing an online synchronous learning rubric as our rubric for online learning is more dealing with asynchronous learning. But now that we're doing a lot of Zoom courses, we're going to try and look at best practices for that as well. This was the first year we nominated somebody for the Exemplary Award, Cyber Award at the Board of Governors at the state of California, and that went to cybersecurity with Toby West. So she was one of 2 schools in the entire state of California that won this award. She flew up with Dr. Adrian in January, accepted the award. It did come with a cash prize. Because every time I hear about an award, I ask somebody to submit something. So my faculty recognition committee submitted my name for the Hayward Award and never heard from them, so I assume I didn't get it. And Elizabeth heard back, and unfortunately she did not win the Stand Back Stroud Diversity Award, but she did win other awards, not through the Academic Senate, so kudos to Elizabeth. Our teacher of the year was Daniel Salceda. At the time, I did not have our part-time teacher of the year, and that was Melissa Endo from Counseling. I think I pronounced her name right. And we also updated our bylaws. So current goals for 2021 is to grow readership, to create opportunities for faculty management engagement in the classroom. One of the things I've noticed over the years is that there's a little bit of disconnect between management and faculty, between management understanding exactly what's going on with faculty and where our problems are. So I'd like to create some type of bridge so that we understand each other a little better. Continue to update our bylaws. We put in the subcommittees that were listed in our participatory governments as subcommittees, that being program and department review, and also a faculty center committee into the bylaws that weren't there, but they always need continually revisited, because there's always, you find problems every year, especially with this COVID-19, where what do I do now with this emergency retirement? What do I do now with all of this? We'll continue to update the faculty resources, increase awareness of the Senate election, and as Erin knows, I'm on a assignment of my own to improve the committees. That can we make them streamlined? Because right now we're down to 48 full-time faculty, and just between curriculum and Senate, that's 50 positions. And then you add all the other committees, and you have the Senate subcommittees, and you could just spend your whole day in committees, as Erin and I know very well. So those are our goals presently for 2021. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. And so I'll pass it on to Casey Hipp. Thank you, Casey.
Awesome. Thank you. So this year for Classified Senate, I mean, everybody had a little bit of a crazy spring, but starting off with our event in the fall, we had some major heat during our fall festival, but we were still able to have a wonderful event. And then for our holiday boutique, our second largest fundraiser, we had rain. So despite the weather really being against us and then not being able to fundraise in the spring, Classified Senate was still able to award $2,000 in scholarships to 3 different Coastline employees. That was 2 classified and 1 hourly. While hourly are not classified employees, we feel that they're part of the classified team, and we appreciate the work that they do and want to support our colleagues on their educational pursuits. It's been an interesting year, obviously, for many ways. Our e-board was directly impacted by a lot of the staffing shifts that are taking place in our college. David worked with the bookstore and was fortunate enough to be offered a position over at Golden West, and so he accepted that position earlier in the year, as well as Julian was also offered a position over at Golden West. And so we're really stoked that they were able to find positions within the district, and really being aware of the needs of our classified colleagues and supporting them throughout the current transitions and the upcoming transitions with the SRP has been key. So we actually worked together with the union to have an open forum for our classified. We had over 70 attendees, both between in-person and online, and we had some really great questions and conversation, and really just providing that information to our peers. Each month, our classified recognition work group has been making sure that even despite the closure, that the Traveling Dolphin Award keeps moving on, and it's been a really fun way to celebrate our peers and the work that we do, and really just trying to build that camaraderie within the group. And I appreciate that work group for doing that, and always making sure to bring some happiness and joy. And a lot of times the supervisors are of the recognition process, and we really How long was I muted for?
Just for a second, it kept on muting in and out. That was weird. It's all good.
I guess that's the hook, right?
That's not the Easter egg today. That's not the Easter egg.
I'm the Easter egg. But so yeah, it's been an exciting year for Classified Senate. We really appreciate everybody's support, and I look forward to everything that we're going to do in the future. I'm the outgoing president, and I look forward to holding elections and seeing who our new board comes in. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Casey. I'm going to call on Alex Ta, our ASG president. Alex, are you here?
So Alex and the rest of ASG were unfortunately not able to attend. They asked me to give the update on their behalf. As you all know, we're going into finals week, and they are, as good students should be, concentrating and or attending classes. But definitely if you see any or if you have any of our 3 ASG officers in your classes, definitely they've been working so hard. It's been an interesting year for ASG. We started as an active organization, and we unfortunately lost a few officers and went into an inactive organization, which meant that on behalf of ASG as the advisor, I was then making some decisions on their behalf. And then actually, during the COVID closure, we finally got our 3rd ASG officer, Sam. I've technically never met Sam in real life. It's kind of a funny experience, but I know Sam as well as our other 2 officers so well, and they really they hit the ground running. Everything from talking about the student health fee to the smoking policy to approving the accreditation updates. They are doing it all. One of the silver linings of not being an active organization for a lot of the year is they saved money. Also, the bright side of COVID is they didn't go to conferences. So part of not being able to have events from not being an active organization and not attending conferences because of COVID meant that they had extra money left over. So in addition to the $37,000 that ASG already contributes to student scholarships, they went ahead and donated an additional $20,000 to the Foundation's Emergency Response Fund, because they are so focused on just really representing and ensuring that our students have access to everything that they need for their educational pursuit. Now going into next year, we had 6 students apply for 6 different ASG officer positions. So we are not only active for next year, we didn't even have to hold elections because there's no competition, right? They would have to be competing for themselves. ASG voted to just go ahead and accept those 6 officers, and they're already involved, our new officers. They've been attending this and last week's meeting, and I'm super excited for everything they're going to achieve. And hopefully we'll be able to get those Octa bus passes up and running next time once we start classes in person again. Yeah, and that's about it for the student side. Thank you.
That was excellent. Yes, just to speak out, working with Alex, Vicky, and Sam, myself, just hands-on with all of our plans, very open, very responsive. Actually, working directly with Alex, she was able to provide a lot of all this information to us, and good luck to them and their further pursuits. So I wanted to pass it off to our beloved VP in Administrative Services to speak on the amazing things. She gave me about 7 slides of notes, and my eyes were like this big, like, oh my God, you only get 1 slide. She's like, it's okay, it's my notes, Aaron, take a breath. So she's brilliant. So let's let Christine take the floor.
Thank you. And if I'm a little bit distracted because I'm looking for that Easter egg. Okay, so yes. For accomplishment for 2019-20, and it's not listed in any particular order, so M&O will be going first. Doesn't mean that I love M&O more than any other areas under my watch. So for M&O accomplishment for 2019-20, a couple big things. We complete under Randy's leadership, Director of M&O, and working with the task force, we now have a furniture standard. So that is critical, particularly when we are going through a budget deficit mode, that we have standard established. So with that, we will be using that as we furnish the new facility. Also, what Randy has also been tasked with, trying to leverage the resource amongst the 3 M&O departments within the district is to also establish a custodial supply standard. You know, this way we can buy in bulk, and that can generate some savings when you have a large order placed with a vendor. It's easier to get a better pricing. For facility, obviously the biggest thing that we have on our plate right now is the student services construction that is scheduled to start at the end of this year. But prior to that kicking off, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of renovation project that has to be in the pipeline to get ready for that construction. So I'm very happy to report that we have secured additional parking if necessary. Once we start the construction, that is always on my mind. So we now have secured 2 parking lot for that, and it's all pretty much within walking distance. The other thing is we are also in the process of completing the relocation for the distant learning department to move out of the current facility into the annex building to be adjacent to the Faculty Success Center. In addition, M&O, print shop, shipping and receiving will also be relocated to the warehouse. So that's all it should be completed by this summer. There are many facility completion projects. I'm just gonna highlight 1 or 2 from each of the site. But I do have that 7-page of accomplishment that Erin talked about that I'll be submitting as evidence as part of this planning summit. So at the Garden Grove campus, we're very happy that we have complete the server room relocation for phase 1 and phase 2. Currently, we have the server room located on different floors, so it doesn't make sense. So we centralized that, and I do want to say thank you to Dean Nancy Jones. I hope that she's here attending this meeting, but thank you for your support and for your vision. And more important than that, allow us to tap into your grant to the tune of $200,000 to complete this project. So thank you, Nancy, for that. At the Newport, we also complete the testing center at the Garden Grove, the Veteran Resource Center. At the Newport Beach campus, I know I saw Dean Neal in attendance. So Randy and I can now look you in the eye and say, yes, Dean Neal, the Shades project is completed. So I'm very glad that that comes to an end. For those of you who are not familiar with that, that would provide a much needed shade area in the turf area to allow students to use as a gathering space as well as a place for them to gather in between classes. This would eliminate all of the glare issues, allow them to use the laptop while they are in between classes. At the Westminster Legion campus, we completed the lockdown button project. That was the first site that we choose to implement that. This aligned with our vision for emergency and preparedness. So if we have an event, we can actually go into a lockdown mode immediately. So that is an illustration of how we have all of these renovation projects. Public safety and emergency preparedness. I want to thank Mike Culver for his leadership. A lot of activity happened. You can see on the slide, a lot of tabletop exercise because emergency preparedness is on our mind. EarthX 2019-20 training exercise. It was a simulation about severe weathers that lead to power outages. How do we respond to that? We also have recently a district-wide under Mike's leadership, another tabletop exercise to address the internet social media threat. How do we respond to that? Another active shooter training that was provided on an annual basis to all of our public safety officers, much needed. Another one in collaboration with student services is a behavioral threat recognition and prevention. I want to thank Dr. Mueller for collaborating that with the FBI agency in providing that training. And very important, under Mike's leadership, we also apply for and receive a grant from FEMA. This would allow us to put together a planning document for a hazard mitigation plan for the district, which is required for us to apply for any FEMA reimbursement funding should there is an emergency that take place. Business services, summarized in one statement. All I want for Christmas, Derek, is a clean audit. Every year, a clean audit. Easier said than done. It takes a village. So thank you to everybody who works with the business offices. Thank you to all of the business offices staff for pulling this out year after year. And most recently, with the COVID-19, under Derek's leadership, we now have automated and streamlined a lot of processes to allow everybody to work from remote and keep the business function going. Checks are still being issued, vendors are being paid, requisitions are being processed, you can still purchase things. So thank you, Derek, for doing that. HR, Renata has also been busy. She, under her leadership, recruited and filled 6 vacancies, also facilitated 2 department reorg for innovative learning and extended learning division. Also, she conducted the Managing Stress and Change workshop in a collaboration with the Classify unit, and also participated in the diversity workgroup session on speaking in other languages. You know, one of the things we definitely want to promote is diversity. So that's very important. And last but not least, information services. The most recent and significant contribution is to deploy all of the computers, laptop, and Chromebooks to faculty, staff, and students to allow us to keep business as usual during this COVID-19. Can't thank Dave and his team enough for pulling this. Goals for 2021. So for facility, obviously, to complete the Vision 2030, because the Vision 2020 is about to expire. So that is very important. Matter of fact, we purposely delay the approval of the Facility 2030 vision because of what happened to COVID. Instead of having it approved by the board in the month of May, we strategically suspend that until December so that we can see what happened post-COVID-19. And we want to incorporate that into our planning document for facility to be board approved in December. We want to complete the server room. One of the major things I want to do, and wanted to do this for a long time, but this has been hard, is the completion of the Legal parking negotiation. We are now at the table with the City of Westminster, trying to put a ribbon on this. So hopefully we can make this happen in 2021. And completion of a lease negotiation with the Social Security Administration, the biggest tenant we have in the annex building that generate $250,000 in revenue stream to the college. So that's important. M&O, one of the things that's big, it's a big wish list for Randy is how do we replace the current building management system? To give you an illustration of that, right now we have the HVAC system, one system for each of our campus. It's not integrated, so if you report an issue, Randy literally have to drive out to that campus. Now, Newport Beach, we can monitor that from remote through the web application, but we would like to be able to do that from remote, particularly now that we are in the remote work environment. Business services, Derek, simple request. Can you keep the clean audit for another year for me? And let's continue while we are ahead to assess the rest of the process to see if we can automate even more. That definitely would yield greater efficiency and at the same time cut costs, which is important for the college. Public safety and emergency preparedness, just keep up the great work that you are doing. We want to make sure we still continue to maintain the visible security presence because that would deter crime. Continue to provide relevant training to all of our public safety officers and more tabletop exercise for the upcoming year. We can't be ready enough, right? You just have to prepare. And then every scenario, it would be different, but if you are prepared and you know at least what you need to do. HR, this is big for Renate, and we hope to see this happen in 2021, is to launch the new employee orientation program. We want to make sure from day one, they feel part of the Coastline family. So that's all I have for admin services.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christine. So many great things going on. Now, before we get to the next section, instructional services, I am going to give it up so you can listen to Vince and take away from that. Vince, you are the Easter egg that I always look for in all the great things we do. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Vince, for being that. That is our wonderful Coastline's finest, Vince Rodriguez, on our screen. That is our Easter egg, Vince.
Oh my gosh.
Kill me later. I still love you.
Payback. Payback, Vince.
Wow, that's got to be from the 90s or that's early days. Okay. So first off, I need to say thank you to everybody. I'm so grateful to be part of the instructional wing. And when I talk to my counterparts at the other colleges in the region, and they talk about all the challenges they're going through, we are so fortunate in what we've been able to accomplish. So first and foremost, I got to talk about the transition that we had for the COVID-19. Nearly all our courses were able to move remotely. There was only a very small number of courses where it was more that the students weren't going to be able to do it, not so much that the faculty couldn't make the transition. And then we had dozens of training sessions. So everyone pulled together to be trained and go through processes or help train others on how to teach online, how to utilize Zoom online, how to do synchronous learning and workshops, and how do we do Ring Central and others. And many times as I talk again to others, when you talk about Ring Central and our staff answering their phones remotely, they just look at you with a funny look, and our staff have done a phenomenal job. And I know that I'm also speaking, it's not only in instruction, it's across the board, but we did a fantastic job with that. So I just can't say enough good things in that area. I'll say from enrollment, we continue to exceed the district allocation percentage. Last year, this year, we will be 370 FTS above what would normally be our percentage, which means we actually brought in 18.68% of the district FTS this year. So we continue to overproduce. That's great news for us. In the curriculum side, we've enhanced a number of programs. There were considerable discussions and debates, and I want to say that I think they were very good discussions. And we had a discussion even today about something that was taking place where faculty are looking at what should the programs be in the future, and we'll continue to expand that. We've removed a number of outdated courses, and we expanded classes to be online, which again is going to help us on the summer. Our summer is going to be about the same size as it was before. We contributed to the enrollment management plan. Obviously, that is not just our instruction, but our Dr. Muller will probably be talking about it also on the student services side, but we've had a much enhanced plan. Many recognitions, as Deb mentioned. I'm not going to go over all of them, but we had a number of recognitions for faculty members and staff and managers and others received awards as the college is continuing to be recognized at some of the top colleges in the country, some of the top programs. I will add a few other things. We have done very well to make our projections. I have to thank Aaron for his help there, but also it's the deans doing a great job of once we set where we want to go and how big we want to be, everyone working together, we set our plan, and every year we're within just a handful of FTS of what we said we were going to bring in. That has done very well. Also, we were one of the first to project, as you start looking forward, all the signals, and to say that we would go mostly online. And as you're seeing now, everyone else is following. So great job. They're all following what we projected. And lastly, I just want to say, again, thank you for everyone. Oh, there was one other thing that I was extremely proud of right away when we started going into the COVID-19. We started doing these remote meetings. And I think this year, not only the remote meetings, but the meetings we had prior when we utilized technology, we had great participation in our Wing Planning Council. We've tried to become more open and transparent, and I think people have responded and participated. And again, I can't say enough to thank everyone that's teaching classes and supporting classes and helping and training. You've all done a great job, and looking forward to another year.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Vince. I'm going to pass it over to Kate in Student Services.
Great. So Christine is brilliant and beloved, and Vince is the favorite.
I'm working
Where
on it.
does that leave me?
I'm working on it.
It's captivating. Captivating.
Okay. Student services. I couldn't be prouder of student services at Coastline. Just couldn't be. All right. So accomplishments. Michelle and Casey say fearless. Thank you. I'll take that. Accomplishments this last year, at least so far this year. And what I need to add on here is virtual commencement and applause to Natalie. But expanded use of a technology, chatbot, financial aid TV, which is also known as Ocelot, if you hear about them, Cranium. I'd say about 99% of our student services staff are trained on that. Adding to that would be our virtual commencement would fall underneath there now. Giving voice to constituents. We've done a lot of forums, we've done trainings a lot, and most of those trainings are subject matter as requested by our team members. VPSS updates, I'm doing 2 a week. It's something that I'd wanted to do, and now COVID-19 has really pushed me to do it. So there are some silver lining things. Expansion of services, substantial increase of services, programs, and activities online. I threw down the challenge, and everybody rose to the occasion in student services. I know others are doing it outside of student services, but that's what I'm discussing now. The food pantry, we expanded that in size, and we've continued that through COVID-19. The formerly and currently incarcerated services that we're developing thanks to a grant, mental health services that we were able to implement at Coastline, thanks to a grant as well, and to the leadership of Dr. Keeler, the incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, that's under the leadership of Dr. Natalie Schoenfeld. Dolphin Early Alert, which comes through us through the product of Starfish. The faculty, we thank you for using that, and the academic success coaches, see this happen when I try to talk too fast, under the leadership of Dr. Bruce Keeler, is seeing a lot of successes in helping students with that. Partnerships. We're very proud of the partnerships we're having across the college, especially with instruction. It's critical that student services and instruction work hand in hand, and Vince and I and our teams are doing that, and I'm thrilled with it. So the enrollment management plan for 2020-25, working with Instructional Wing. We've also the partnership between Intercultural Resource Center, which was under the President's wing, and we've kind of just taken them under our wing, figuratively and literally, and combining that with student life. So that is in the works to make that official. Goals for 2020-21, continued expansion of programs and services. The teams in student services, but also across the college, they're excited to contribute to doing more and more. I'm inviting folks to, I don't care how harebrained the idea might sound, might actually be, I want to hear about it. Collaborations within student services, college-wide, and in the community, we want to expand, continue to expand on those. Cross trainings within student services, but also we're having conversations, Vince and I are having conversations on where can we do some cross trainings within across our wings as well, and maximize resources and tap into our synergies. We have such great relationships across the college, and let's maximize those. Piloting our welcome desk concept. For the new building, we have a concept of a welcome desk with staff rotating in and out and answering questions, and having more at peak times and less when we don't have quite the same traffic. We want to pilot that when we're able to be back into the building. And NR and ELD are looking at where they have synergies and where they can maximize human resources and other processes. Because they both, if you're not familiar, they both have ANR, for example, and how do we combine those efforts to the best of our ability to serve all the students as well as we can. Defining a 2 to 3 year vision for student services as a whole, including what's next and how to take modeling online services to the next level, and continuing to expand use of technology such as the software Next Gen, which came up in another conversation today. Some people can't hear me.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems to be a few people couldn't hear you on that. It seems like getting a bunch of text back and forth where people can and people cannot. Is the volume still good? If you can't, anybody please specify that. I'll see what Shannon, what kind of magic we can work on that.
But you can, if there's people who are having trouble hearing, Peter just popped in the chat that if you're having a hard time, you can turn off your video, and sometimes that'll help with the track.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shelley.
It does help. I've had to do that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Great work, Kate, and the whole team of student services. And so now we're moving to one of my favorite.
Erin?
Yes.
Can I just have 2 seconds?
Yes, you can. Please go ahead. Go for it.
I'm so sorry. I just want to thank one more person. It's so remiss of me. But for the Garden Grove server project, a critical player, Associate Dean Mary Kim. Thank you, Mary. I'm not sure if you're on here, but it was all under her leadership.
Excellent, excellent. Great job. Well then, moving over to the President's Wing, one of my favorite wings, I want to talk about some of the great work that has gone through the President's Wing. I just gave a few snapshots, and after this meeting, I'm going to be collecting a lot of materials from different individuals, such as like Christine's 500 pages of notes, Dawn's 7 pages of notes of just great things that are happening, and I'll share those out documents so you can look through those at your convenience. But as a snapshot for the foundation, we looked at this is the final year of Coastline Promise. What Coastline Promise has been able to do is to provide students not just tuition assistance, but book assistance and helping them get through their programs. Very helpful program. At a turn of a dime, Coastline had established a student emergency relief fund, which has already raised over $100,000 to help our students in need. And so that's really big right now in the times that we're facing. And then also, to continue with supporting our students, the foundation has also had over 230 scholarships this year alone being awarded, which is very good. And so Ashley told me it's going to be more than that, but we didn't want to put the finite amount just yet. And they're going to have an amazing event hopefully coming up soon before we can recognize our students. Also, looking at marketing, speaking with Dawn, she also said she had laundry lists of things, which I will be sending out. But what we're moving at the marketing department is moving into phase 2 of the website, really making it a website that people can engage with. And not just that, but with our faculty profiles, really looking at the departments, personalizing things, and, you know, really helping students navigate that. Right now, there's a survey out there with over 850 responses in relation to open-ended questions about the website that we'll be able to share with her, and will go right directly into her department review. Social media growth. Over the last 2 years, we've seen an abundance of not just expanding into different social media venues, but also seeing the participation and engagement across our social media. In the future, what they're looking to do is more video production. Dawn gave me some statistics that currently right now, on average, students within a college age range spend about 9 hours on YouTube. I'm not one of those people, but if I was, YouTube is a great thing. And so that's one of the things we're trying to look to. How can we make more media-rich materials for our students to engage with? Also, while we're not focused on growing enrollments, we're now focused inwardly with how can we focus our efforts around retention and retaining our students. And now following our upcoming plans, the Vision 2025 Educational Master Plan, the Enrollment Management Plan, they're going to be developing out a new marketing plan to help support these plans and move forward. And so that's something else we'll be working on the following year. Moving to my favorite department, institutional effectiveness. I'll have to say I appreciate everybody at this college and the support of using data and being collaborative in data. Alone this year, my department has seen over 700 requests for just data, for surveys, for feedback. We have 37 new data dashboards that we have that almost every one of them have included equity characteristics in data. So you can not just look at the surface level of our data, but deep down to identify any gaps or performance or opportunities that we have. In addition, we had working with Stephen Barnes in the Faculty Center, we've been able to host over 20 trainings. This year alone, we had 42 people complete our data coaching program. That program just won the statewide award for a program of the year and is now going to be recognized at the national level as one of the top programs in the nation. Once again, very proud of the people, getting some very hands-on work with the data. On the other side of the house with grants, I'll have to say, Darian, you are a great person, and I'm very lucky. Our whole college is very lucky to have you. And with that said, in addition with Shelly, Nancy, everybody, Bruce, Kate, Vince, Dr. Adrian supporting our grants. This year alone, $10 million in grants. It's something that's like I said, it's not one person, it's everybody coming together. Our last Title III grant, 24 people helped collaborate to write that grant to help make change for our institution. And our focus, as always, is to meet students where they are, as I touched on earlier. We've had a really big focus. I'll have to share that my colleague Shelly has been very good at sharing a lot of good information about accessibility, usability, in addition with Celeste Ryan and Chris Johnson being very helpful and supportive. We now have a very functional and great support page that really outlines a lot of great tools we have. We have trainings coming up, and we have a good team and an intake process now to help you ensure that your classes, your materials are accessible. And so with that, I'm going to move on to Danny Pittaway and accreditation.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. First, I guess I can state that I am the outgoing faculty accreditation coordinator. It's been my honor to serve in this capacity for the past 5 or 6 years. Not really quite sure when it started, but I definitely knew once I was in it that it was happening. And it's, you know, it really is an honor to work on accreditation because it's helped me to understand more about Coastline and where Coastline's headed, and also allowed me to, I think, kind of bring to the table things that I like to do and things that I think help the college. As far as the actual this year and this report, we just completed the 2020 follow-up report. I want to thank everybody who was involved in that, the SLO coordinators, all faculty, basically everybody, as always. I mean, accreditation is a joint effort. There's a few of us that, you know, kind of try to be the torchbearers, but really it's a collective effort. And just like anything at Coastline, nothing gets done unless we function as a team. I really think in this new normal that we're the best, our college is best poised to move forward. And I think we're headed in a great direction. As far as the report goes, I believe we are compliant. We have all the evidence we need to come into compliance with the one recommendation to ensure that course syllabi have accurate SLOs listed. There was a triangulated solution to that, which is documented in the report, and I think it's very strong. And I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Danny, for your leadership and everything that you've done, and everybody helping us through accreditation. So moving over to student equity, I'm going to call for Leah and Natalie if you're available to chair.
Great, I can start it off here. So as folks know, student equity for this year, our goals are based off of our student equity plan, which is a three-year set time mark. So this was our first year with student equity, where it's transitioned to student equity and achievement. And so it combines now SSSP, student equity, and BSI, which was all separate at once before. And so this is our first year coming together to ensure that our students are receiving the resources and support that they need across the campus. You can read there our goals for student equity. Those are our main 3 goals and accomplishments that we hope to move forward for the next 3 years. Some key highlights you can see, we started our Student Equity Ally Series this year, which included workshops of professional development under UndocuAlly, an LGBTQAI+ workshop, a Safe Zone workshop, just to make sure that across the board folks were aware of the resources that we had for students. Additionally, we did our first round of piloting our Emoja program with assistance of Dr. Dana Emerson. So our Emoja program is moving forward onto our 2nd year, upcoming this year. Additionally, we supported our diversity and equity work group series. So one of our main accomplishments, one of our main goals has been really pushing professional development for our first year in regards to our new student equity plan. Most recently, we developed, thanks to marketing and Juan, our Student Equity Resource Hub, which allows for all of our resources for both faculty, staff, and students to be in one space. We have continued to provide book assistance for students as well as financial grants. And during this COVID, we have assisted across the board, the foundation office with the assistance, and pretty much all of IT assisting us in providing Chromebooks to students, as well as continuing efforts with the food pantry. across the board. So those are some of our main accomplishments for this year. Our hope as we continue to move forward is to provide more opportunities and engagement with our faculty to launch our faculty equity champions. We know that we have started the process for those who applied, and we want to get that moving forward, especially now that we are online, to have our faculty help us lead a lot of our efforts. To also launch our Dolphin Lending Library. So right now we provide grants to students for books. So they get the books, they're able to keep them, but we want to create a cycle in which our students continually loan books and bring them back and borrow. So we hope to work with our library and others on campus, as well as our faculty, to get that up and running. And then overall, based on our student equity plan, our goal is to continue to close our student equity gaps for our identified DI, which is disproportionately impacted groups on our campus. So all that we do in student equity is to really close those gaps. And so to review our student equity plan and all of our initiatives and activities, you can go to student equity on our Coastline website to see our full goals for the next 3 years.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Leah. That was a great presentation. I wanted to say, in everything that we do, it's rooted in equity and in focused on helping the students, and once again, meeting them where they are, which leads to our next step. Something that I wanted to say thank you for everybody. There have been so much participation across this. It's our educational master plan. Our educational master plan, and I'll give it as a snapshot as I can, looked at the lens of an external scan, what's happening around us in the future to be projected to happen, what's happening internally, and then what's happening in the actual future outside of industry and economics and social factors. Not only that, where's our focus as an institution? You know, but then how do we bring it all together? We reflected on the great work we did across the 7 goals and 7 objectives, but then we said, you know, how can we make things meaningful and get back to how we meet students where they are? We came up with 4 goals, and these goals were not easily come up with. We not only looked at what the Chancellor's Office said with their vision plan, but really looked at how can we expand across all of our college and make a difference in a meaningful way. So similar to what you'll see across Coastline Pathways Equity Plan, our #1 goal is to reduce all equity gaps for access and achievement of our students. And you'll see that in the little diagram you have next to it. Every one of our future plans, including our program department reviews at the unitary level, asks you as a department and us as a college, from facilities, pathways, equity, how are we addressing this? And how are we coming together and collaborating and working together to do this? How are we looking to increase student outcomes and achievement? You know, how do we build those collaborations through professional development, partnerships, and continuous learning? And then under the umbrella of how Coastline was founded in innovation, how do we push and be like what they said with Kate, fearless? How do we be brave and try new things and just go out there and say, let's just do it? You know, I commend Dr. Adrian for always saying, just try it. Let's just see what happens. And you know what? We're not going to be perfect every time, but that's what the fun part is. We learn from that and then we perfect what we do. So what you'll see in the upcoming plans is they're going to be centralized around 4 main goals. And then those 4 main goals are going to be actualized through strategic priorities, which is in the 92-page single-space document that I will send out afterwards. I was thinking about going page by page for our event today, but not today. So that's how you'll see how all that interacts. There's a web page that actually has this diagram on it where you can click on each one and go directly to the plans and see how they all intertwine and work together. So that is our Vision 2025 Master Plan. With that, I'm going to give the floor to Kate and Vince to talk about the Enrollment Management Plan 2025.
Kate. Thank you, Aaron. So, Kate, I assume I'll start off. We've been the Vince and Kate show. And we've shared with constituents groups all across the college this presentation many times. But bottom line is we were pulling in what's happened in the Vision 2025 plan, what's happening in guided pathways, and we have built an enrollment management plan and edited to be much improved for what we need today. And previously it focused on hitting some benchmarks and how much we'd grow and how many faculty we can hire. You've heard us talk, what we're changing now is how much FTS is expected of us based on our percentage of the district and reaching those targets. And then also the hiring plan will be more in alignment with the district hiring plan, because so much of it now is driven by the board decision on how many faculty we will have in the district plans. So that's a major change, and shifting from much of the data that used to be very robust, and thank you to Aaron, he had a lot of information and data that was in there, but we've streamlined it so that it's more specific of what do we really need in the enrollment management plan, and what are the most important key performance indicators that we can have that inform this plan. And then the other thing is, how do we make it more of a holistic plan that covers everything we do for enrollment management? And previously it was more heavy on the instruction side with the schedule, but now it's more broad and incorporates more of everything we do on both instruction and student services. And with that, I'll let Kate talk a little bit more about some of the things that we've added to the plan.
Yes, we're very excited to expand the plan. Again, our focus is instruction as a college, but there's so many other elements that contribute to the success of students and to enrollment management as a whole. So for the first time included is information about student services, how it supports and intersects with enrollment management. It's right now very overarching, broad, but it captures what student services does as a whole. We could go into much more detail, but we were not trying to make this a much longer document. Then also, thanks to Shelley Blair, thank you. She wrote up a nice piece of the document for Coastline Pathways and how it supports, intersects, and helps affect enrollment management, with a strong focus on student services, has a stronger focus on retention, plus the outreach piece, but how it's written right now is focused on retention. And then pathways, obviously, for getting students in and through and out. So very excited about that. We're going to have addendums. That was a great suggestion by somebody. And my apologies, I don't remember exactly who said it. But we'll do addendums because we already know we want to include more information. And that one example is extended learning division. Charmaine and her team, they're working on some short-term and long-term goals. And we want to incorporate that information into, our overarching, our holistic enrollment management plan. But they're not quite ready to be dovetailing into that yet, but they will be. And we want to also make note of our progress. So that'll be another addendum.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kate and Vince. And so now we're going to go to Kim Bowie in Professional Development Plan 2022.
Hi, this is Kim Bowie, and I'll be talking about professional development. So a few of our accomplishments for this past year includes creating a PD plan. The College Professional Development and Leadership Committee were able to collaborate and create this really comprehensive plan that included the mission, the structure, and also the goal. Also, we worked together to create a needs assessment survey, and we were really excited to garner over 150 responses. And also because of that, we're also implementing, or we have implemented, the subcommittees for each of the constituent groups. So for faculty management and classified, they each have a classified PD subcommittee. And also the classified professional development also has a task force in addition to the subcommittee. And so a few of our goals for the next year includes continuing supporting college-wide events such as Flex Days and Spring Barbecue. So for Flex Day, our next one coming up is in August, and I think that will be a virtual one. So far, we'll get more updates later. We'll also plan to launch a Toastmasters Club as well as a podcast, and I believe we're going to call it Podcoast. We'll probably finalize that later, but we're really excited to do that as well. And also we're planning to update the college professional development website. And so we'll just continue to strengthen our commitment to deep equity work throughout the college. And some of these activities include training and developing a accessibility college-wide as well as professional development to support culturally relevant pedagogies. Thank you.
Excellent, Kim. Thank you so much. And thank you to the team at PD. PD is really up and running. About 4 years ago, we had a push for it through a huge needs assessment externally being done. And I'll have to say it's better than any college I've seen so far. So thank you, team, with that.
Yay.
Moving over, a few weeks ago, we had a team come from the outside to interview us about who Coastline is. And a lot of us were like, why are these people here? What are they asking about? So I'll give you a snapshot of something that's going to be emerging in the future for Coastline. So in a push for innovation and effectiveness, we applied for a grant from the state of California called the Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative Grant. This grant is focused on really providing funding and seed money to help colleges try new things, expand, and be more effective. We've done this one before when we helped develop out our student learning outcomes, Coastline Pathways, what you just heard with professional development and strengthening communication. Now, we really said, you know, we want to focus on something that's innovative, something like they always asking Dr. Reed, what's the next big thing Coastline's going to do? So she got a group of us together and she's like, what's after this, the Institute for the Future event, and said, what are the emerging things? What would be super cool to try? So we said, how about augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence? How do we blend that into the work and services and the instruction that we're doing at Coastline? But then on the next level, what about competency-based education? Who's doing that? Good question. So that is the $1 million question, well, $200,000 questions for us, is where we had an external team come out, interview, and determine, is Coastline ready for this? And obviously we just read their follow-up report, and not only was it just like kind of yes, like an astounding yes, there's like no barriers in the way, and that they feel Coastline is best poised out of any school they talk to make this happen. So it's very exciting because, like I said, it was just an open interview with faculty, staff, administrators, just really looking at who Coastline is. And so the next steps of our grant process is that we'll be working with this external team to develop out an effectiveness and innovation plan, a plan that gives us $200,000 to explore augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and also competency-based learning, and identify areas at the institution where we can put that into. We've already started. I've been working with Chris Johnston. We have a page already developed on that, and we'll be releasing it soon with more information. And what has been great is I've been working not just with faculty, but classified professionals who have been sending me articles and information all the time that we'll be adding to this repository of resources to help us as we develop out our plan. So if you think like, gosh, it would be really cool to have an artificial intelligence like chatbot, or it'd be really awesome. Imagine if we could have, like Josh said, in my cultural class of communications, go there and visit that place, but not have to leave the comfort of our home. Or, you know, like Deb Henry says, what if we could take a heart apart, but not really have that? Or participate with chemistry experiments and not blow up our house? You know, how could we do that? And those are the technologies that we're really looking forward to. Once again, remember, meeting students where they are and really focus on equity and access for our students to support their achievement. And so that's where our focus of our grant is, and more information will be coming out soon. And with that said, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Josh Leventius, to talk about Coastline Pathways.
All right, everybody. I'm going to actually stick to just sound because my internet connection is off today. But since our virtually our last update, at the end of last semester, we had all of our design teams present all of their information. And one of the great things that I felt happened with those design teams is that we got the involvement of our students. I believe two of our students from our advisory board, Vianne and Waukesha, are here with us today. So we're happy to have them involved all along the way. At the end of last semester, we got approval from Dr. Adrian and the President's Cabinet to move forward towards the implementation phases of Coastline Pathways. So over December and January, Dean Blair and myself worked on creating a timeline, a project list for the project implementation of Coastline Pathways. And this is a great, I think, a great culmination of several years of work. You know, we really started working on Coastline Pathways all the way back in 2015. We spent over 2 years working on design projects. So I think this is a really great turning point for this initiative at our college. The efforts really started moving forward in February, where Coastline began pursuing an online orientation. Shelley can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the contracts were just signed for that recently. So we'll be moving forward with that as soon as possible. Coastline also is working on a variety of aspects of the Coastline pathways, especially launching our student resource campaign. So that's something that we're working on. We're also working as well in collaboration with the department chairs and with the counselors to make sure that we have our program roadmaps moving forward. So we're doing a lot of great work as best we can at this distance, and that work will continue throughout the summer, and we'll be launching as many things as we possibly can moving forward in the fall. And I'll leave it at that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Josh, Shelley, the team. Like I said, just like everything here, it's all hands on deck at Coastline. And that's why people always think we're the best at what we do. So with that, I would like to have a final remarks from Dr. Adrian before we close out our day.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to thank Aaron for his leadership, and for everyone. My goodness, so much has happened throughout the year, and I think we have so much to be proud of. And none of these things could have happened without all your passion, dedication, and deep commitment to our students. I know that it has been a very unusual spring semester, but you know, none of you skipped a beat. You just kept working, and I greatly, greatly appreciate all that you have done. I came 10 years ago, and I think in reflection, so much has happened, and so much improvement and innovation have taken place in terms of our planning, which is really at the end, at the heart of how we improve our institutional effectiveness and how we are able to use our limited resources. And as you could see, we've done so much. The next year is going to be very challenging. I won't even sugarcoat anything about that. We're expecting huge cuts. I think that we will continue to really sharpen our pencil, so to speak, in terms of making sure that we allocate resources to those things that are most important to us. And we're very lucky because I think we've made a lot of headway through the leadership of Josh and Shelley and all of you on Guided Pathways, because I do think that moving forward, that is the framework that we will have to use in terms of how we continue with limited resources to improve our outcomes for our students. And so really, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I wish we had more time to interact, but as you could see, there's so much to report on. And thank you so much, Aaron, to you and your team for all the things that you've done. You are a tremendous asset to our college, and I thank my lucky stars every day that we hired you. Thank you, and good day to everyone.
Excellent. Everybody, thank you so much again for coming. You guys have an excellent rest of your week, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
I like that picture of mine, by the way, that you posted.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.